Here we go, problem 6-73, checkpoint problem. This should be a good time. Oh yeah. So this problem is a checkpoint for multiplying and dividing rational expressions. It will be referred to as checkpoint 6a. So if you're smart and you think about it, there's definitely going to be one of these on your next test. So letter A, we're looking to multiply these rational expressions. First step, in case you haven't paid attention over the past couple months, we need to take these and look at what our factors are so we can maybe simplify them. Let's take a look. X squared minus 16. X squared minus 16 can be factored. Okay, remember this is a difference of squares, so x squared minus 16 should factor into x plus 4 times the quantity of x minus 4. Now we have that expression over the quantity of x minus 4 squared. Now do we need to take this binomial and actually multiply everything out? No, just know that that means the same thing as x minus 4 times the quantity of x minus 4. We're multiplying that by, we have x squared minus 3x minus 18. Chances are, since we're practicing this skill, we're going to have to factor it as well. Now you can use your generic rectangle. If you forgot how to do that, there are checkpoint problems before 6a to remind you how to factor using the generic rectangles. If you don't know how to factor, you're going to really struggle with the rest of the course, so it's time that you get some help. So we've got x and we've got x. Factors of 18 that have a sum of negative 3, so we have negative 18, that would end up being negative 6 and positive 3. If you're not sure if you're right or not, go ahead and multiply the two binomials together to make sure that you end up with this expression as the answer. And the bottom, x squared minus 2x minus 24. We need factors of negative 24 that differ by 2. So when we factor it, you should have ended up with x and x. You should have a negative 12 and a positive 10. No, I'm an idiot. Let's do that again. That was wrong. Let's do that again. We got x and x. Factors of negative 24 that differ by 2 are 6 and 4. I don't know what I was thinking there. So minus 6 and plus 4. There we go. I feel better about that. So, is there anything here, are there any factors that we have both in the numerator and the denominator? Because remember, when you're multiplying, this is just like one giant fraction. Well, I see that I have an x minus 4 and an x minus 4. When we divide x minus 4 by x minus 4, we get 1. So this is like saying 1 over 1. I have an x minus 6 over an x minus 6. When I divide them, I get 1 over 1. I have an x plus 4 here and an x plus 4 here. So when I divide each of those, I get 1 as well. So I've got 1 times 1 times 1 times the quantity of x plus 3. So that should equal x plus 3. If you want to keep it in parentheses, that's fine. If that helps you not make this next mistake that I'm going to talk about here, I would do it. The quantity of x minus 4 times 1 times 1 times 1 is going to be x minus 4. That mistake I'm talking about is this. You cannot cancel these x's out. They are not factors. The factor here is the quantity of x plus 3. It all goes together. This is also a factor. Remember, you have to have the exact same binomial that you're dividing by itself there in order for it to cancel out, so to speak. So we end up with this being our final answer for A. We've got the quantity of x plus 3 over the quantity of x minus 4. Now let's go ahead here and let's look at b. b is going to ask us to divide. We have x squared minus 1 over x squared minus 6x minus 7. And we're going to divide it by x to the third plus x squared minus 2x. That one looks awesome. And we got a little simple x minus 7 here. So remember, the first thing when dividing, you're going to look at this second fraction here, and it's going to be easier for us to go ahead and multiply by the reciprocal of it. Not the first one, the second one. So we've got here, and I'm going to go ahead and factor at the same time, save some time. X squared minus 1, difference of squares, just like x squared minus 16. We should end up with x minus 1 times the quantity of x plus 1. The bottom here, x squared minus 6x minus 7. We should end up with x minus 7 times the quantity of x plus 1. On the other side here, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal of this. So I'm going to go ahead and factor it while I'm doing it, but be careful if you do this. A lot of times people lose track of what they're doing and they forget to flip it. So the first one, x minus 7, that's easy. That doesn't change. But this one here, when we do it, first of all, we're going to factor out an x. So what I should have here is x times the quantity of x squared, because x times x squared gives me x to the third. X times what gives me x squared? Well, that should be plus x. And then x times what gives me negative 2x? That should be minus 2. Now, does this trinomial also factor? It certainly does. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and copy this x. I'm going to make sure, because my classes seem to forget about this little guy here. He's going down here. He is still part of the expression. And then this should factor into two binomials. I'm going to have an x and an x. And then factors of negative 2, well, that's only going to be 2 and 1, right? So one of them has to be negative, one of them has to be positive. And I need more positives and negatives, so I'm going to have plus 2 and minus 1. Now that everything is factored, we can look to simplify this because it's in the form of multiplication here. So remember, when you're multiplying fractions, it's like it's one big fraction. So we have binomial, 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 monomial, binomial, binomial. So x minus 1, when we divide it by this x minus 1, we get 1 and 1. X plus 1 divided by x plus 1 is like saying 1. X minus 7 and x minus 7, this is 1 and 1. So we're looking at 1 times 1 times 1, which in our numerator should give us 1. And then we've got 1 times x times the quantity of x plus 2 times 1. So we've got x times the quantity of x plus 2. So this would be completely acceptable for me. Or you could, if you distributed that through, 1 over x squared plus 2x, if your teacher requires you to multiply it back through. So either one of these would be just fine. And remember, right here is our answer for letter A. So this is a checkpoint problem, 6A. If you didn't get these right or you need extra practice, look in the back of the book at checkpoint 6A. It'll help show you how to do it. There's a lot of extra practice problems and the answers so that you can make sure that you are well prepared with this skill. As I said before, if you're in my class, it's definitely going to be on the test. This is problem 6-73. If you have questions, make sure you get some help. Thanks for listening.